In 1995, my dad beat me up for the second or third time over an F in PE. How many times do you get to beat somebody over something like that and get away with it? So I ran away, and I called my mother, and I called 911. And the officers came and they gave me a choice between going to jail and going into the system, or going back to live with my dad. Imagine that being your choice after you've grown up being raped in the system, being beaten in the system, having no voice because you were in the system. But my dad, he promised me that if I cut my hair so that I wouldn't be beaten up in Nebraska for being a homosexual, which I'm not, that he would send me to live with my mother. And my first or second day living with my mother, she was asking me to have my friends get her some cocaine. I didn't even have any friends yet. So, in 1997, it might have been 1996, my mother got all messed up on cocaine when she was going to talk to a guy named Doug Cowden, a child molester. He molested Rand Ingersoll. And when I confronted her about it, because she came in with her hair messed up and her shirt buttoned up weird, coked up out of her goddamn mind, she kicked me out of the house. And she claimed that I ran away because I didn't want to wash the dishes. So I was given a choice. Go to juvie as a runaway, or go to Pine Ridge Job Corps Center. I chose Pine Ridge Job Corps Center. I went through a lot of abuse at Job Corps, and I had to keep my mouth shut. But at least it wasn't my mother's house. My mother was physically abusive as well. If she wouldn't punch you, she'd just slap the fuck out of you over and over and over again. She'd do absolutely nothing. The whole house would get cluttered, and then you could tell when she was on cocaine because she'd stay up all night cleaning the house. None of these doctors are fit to make a judgment about me because none of them bothered to look at whether I was telling the truth or not. They just assumed. They just assumed. They didn't look at any of the evidence. That's what happens when you speak out against police officers. Police officers do everything in their power to discredit you. And the medical system helps. It's free money for them. It's free money for incarcerating you. It's free money for the hospitals when they take you in those places. In Scotts Bluff, they only held me long enough in 2018. They only held me long enough to charge me with a crime and diagnose me with what it is that Sheriff Scott DaCosta wanted. What Sheriff Scott DaCosta needed in order to justify the fact that he didn't take a statement from me, and neither did his fellow officers, neither did his deputies. That's what happens when you don't have family. The only time officers were ever nice to me was when they were trying to coax me into a false sense of security so that they could take me somewhere and abuse me, to turn off their body cameras and do whatever they wanted, or to corner me in my cell and do whatever they wanted. A lot of people said that they wanted to help, but the thing is, Shannon Alvarado is an alcoholic. She wasn't gonna help me. I needed an advocate. Miss Peaches has never had to go through this, so it didn't occur to her that no matter what, I was gonna have to endure this abuse without her coming forward with what she knew in public. Without her going in with me to talk to the police like she promised me that she would. They got to do whatever the fuck they wanted. I was assumed guilty. It was assumed that I was guilty. It was assumed that I didn't know what the fuck was going on. It was assumed that I was the bad guy. It was assumed by the media, assumed by the police, assumed by the doctors. Meanwhile, how can any of them do the right thing if none of them are willing to look at my side? I have to be afraid to show evidence because I will be victimized for it. Kill me, please.